them, but you think that was the right step
I think-
taken by them?
Of course, let me say this.
Going to resist
Let me say
armed
this.
Guinean soldiers?
It is the bravery
Is
and
it-
resilience in them that probably led to even the Guineans themselves saying that, look, this is not going to be another Sierra Leone, because this particular current regime in Guinea, this is not the first time they're incursion on
I think
territory.
that bravery was not necessary.
I'm coming
Absolutely
now.
not.
No.
Absolutely
No.
not. It was not necessary.
No, Chief.
For an armed youth to go and resist armed
What the
Guinean
Guinean soldier did, it was an act of aggression, coming to encroach
Even
on
an
a foreign
act of
land.
aggression.
I'm coming now. So in the absence of a presence of Liberia's military officers, those young people stood
They
their
risked their
ground.
life. Don't say that.
No.
Don't say
Yes,
that.
no.
They risked their life.
I'm coming now. No.
Listen. Let us not. You are a lawyer. Let us
But
not,
that's patriotism.
let us not encourage.
No.
Let us not encourage.
They did not go to fight them.
But
They went and stood their
it
ground and
was-
said, "This is our land."
No, but that
and
was
we
not
will be here.
necessary. That was not necessary. Don't even resist.
But let me
let me hold you there and come to George.
What more can a citizen of a country do if that person does not risk their life
to defend
tie
that
So
country.
you support that as well?
boundary of his
course. George?
Listen, let me say to you, Sabo. What happened
In fact, someone sounded like a coward.
What? No,
If someone is sounding like a coward,
You know-
he's a coward. I mean, you are a coward.
David,
No, someone is a
David.
coward.
David, you're not asked to speak. Please, go
The
ahead.
message the
Go
Liberia
ahead.
sent to the Guinean had the Sierra Leone done that, the Guinean was not going to see
Let me
I
ask you a
know-
question, George.
I know
George, it's
I'm
already
from
clear.
Lofa.
I'm coming. George.
Let me
No,
send the message.
Let me ask you a
I'm from
question.
Lofa. I know I have some families across the border.
George,
But for now, for the territorial integrity of this country, the
George,
young people
George,
of Lofa,
don't support that.
I am.
That was
If I were
wrong.
there, I would have gone
George,
there.
listen, George.
If I were
George,
in Guinea, I would have
George,
gone to that border.
George,
Guess what?
my namesake.
Guess what?
No, I'm coming. In case,
The two
George,
judges are
in
fighting.
case there was a retaliation
They
So
could
let
have
me
done
coming
that.
from the Guineans,
So let me
They
say
could have
what
done
would have
that.
happened?
So
They could have done that.
let me say to you.
George, don't do
You
that,
don't,
man.
you don't know.
Don't support.
Wait,
let me
please.
tell you
Let me
George,
learn.
Slow
Please,
no,
let
no,
me
no,
get.
no.
Slow
Let me
No,
learn.
you
Slow
can't
up.
support that.
So what?
Slow up. Let me learn, please.
Go ahead.
Let me learn.
Let me learn.
Let me learn.
Why are you fighting the man?
No,
Let
because
me
the
learn.
country
No, let the man learn.
The young people, the gallant young men
Look
and
at
women
some
that
of
stood up today,
armless young men.
all of those
You putting a
that
last
stood
arrest.
up,
Should be
that stood
recruited.
up today,
Should be recruited
that
in
have
the
the age
military.
and qualifications to join the security force of this country,
Should
should
be
be allowed to
recruited
join.
and
George,
deploy at the
don't
very
say that.
borders.
Okay, let's leave it there. George, you
Oh,
know,
on the wrong side of his
I'll always be on the wrong side. Listen, gentlemen, in case there was a retaliation
No, but the
So you
Guinea
don't
could have
know-
done
you
that.
don't
from the military.
No,
You don't know-
All right,
You
let's-
don't know that
let's-
part
One of the
of
rules of engagement, they can't do that.
Let me.
And they do that.
No,
The
they
Guineans
have
know
done
that.
it.
No,
They
no,
have done
no,
it.
no.
Couldn't.
They couldn't do that.
Let me hold you there.
They couldn't do that.
Moses, let's hear from you.
Look,
Most of
honestly, John, are you hearing me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, look, John, as I'm listening to all of you in studio, I just couldn't believe that my colleagues would say that, look, it was right for people to risk their safety.
Yes, can you imagine that?
See,
Armless young man.
Moses is another coward.
No, that's not.
No. Moses is someone. They're cowards.
You're not asked to speak.
You know.
You are not asked to speak, David. David, you are not asked to speak.
Okay, sir.
Moses, go ahead.
Let me come from two perspectives here. I will come as someone who is in the business of conflict resolution,
Mhm.
and I will be speaking as a clinical social worker. When we teach anger management, we always tell people when provoked, the first thing you do, you back off. You take a deep breath, walk away from the situation, and fund the appropriate interventions. That's how people resolve issues. You don't grandstand. Do you know what it means to challenge someone with weapon? You got to
It just speaks to the fact that look at the
No,
reaction.
Moses is speaking. Please.
Moses is a coward like somebody
Mama,
else.
please,
So
man.
he will sound
You
like that.
got to speak.
Okay,
Dave.
sir. Okay.
I'm speaking as a media person. I'm speaking as someone who is in the business of conflict resolution.
Go ahead, Moses.
You don't resolve problem by escalating the situation. You just can't. It was too dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Don't forget you are on the radio
Yeah.
and you're promoting
You promote that.
and Edwin.
You are also
Boss.
Put their hands in-
Gentlemen,
and allow
please,
their
the man
hands to be
speaking.
included-
The man
inclusive point.
speaking. The man speaking.
And you guys are telling me that it is right for someone to risk his or her life?
You go fight them.
What about
I'm
fighting
man.
them? What about fighting them?
My man, don't say that, man. Go ahead, Moses. Moses.
people chance.
No, that- continue.
Mr. Sunday speaking, he doesn't know. the
Moses,
life
no,
that-
please, you are not.
We want to get the
No,
information.
comrade,
What
comrade,
really led to that?
Comrade, no, comrade.
You look at
No,
the action.
comrade.
Moses is in a country that despite several thousands of U.S.
Comrade,
troops
please, you are not to speak
and
here.
put their lives at risk.
Tabwe.
Uh-huh.
It's not your turn.
No, okay.
Moses
I
is still
agree.
speaking.
Moses is a coward, man. He's a coward. Moses and son, and Moses and someone are cowards.
Tabwe.
And they're cowards.
Tabwe.
He didn't give me time to talk.
Tabwe, please. Moses, go ahead.
So I accept whatever label you guys give me, but personally speaking, there's what we call moral equivalence. Two wrongs make one right.
Mhm.
Oh, you know they did it, so we have to do the same thing. No, you can't. You be the more respected. You be the leader. They bring their people. You go through what? The legal process.
Thank you.
You do not endanger the safety of your citizen because you want to be seen as a hero.
Yeah.
Many of those people have been killed today. What do you think the Labrador government going to do? Just bury them.
Now, all.
Just bury them.
Our government would have done.
So
Moses, let's leave you there and go to Prince Kripla quickly.
That's the man electoral.
So,
Please.
Sobo and colleagues,
Mute your microphone, David.
you
Sam, you have
know, it's
Go ahead.
quite saddening. Sobo, you gave me the chance to talk now.
Go ahead, Moses. Go ahead, Kripla, Prince.
So you see, it's quite saddening, and the young people, the people of Lofa and Liberia, they risk their lives today. Even though they risk their lives in defense of our country, I applaud them for that, right? But the reason why those young people risk their lives sober is because the government of President Bouaka demonstrated incompetence, right? They demonstrated incompetence, the responsibility to protect, defend the territorial boundary and integrity of our country rests on the laps of the government of President Bouaka. They neglected that. And so the young people, as patriotic young people, had no choice but to raise their lives like our forefathers raised their lives in the past to grant our country independence. I agree with you, Moses. I agree with you, Josh, that those young people raised their lives, but that was because of the incompetence of the government. The government can only demonstrate strength when people are going to exercise their democratic right to protest. Then you see Gregory Coleman, you bring all the water tank outside. When AFL went to the 72nd barrel as if though they were fighting Iran, they invaded all the people's private properties. They carry bazookas, all the bigger weapons, you saw them. But they are co-equals. Now one day, This is something that started happening for a long time. Diplomatically, the government demonstrated incompetence. They were not able to resolve it diplomatically. And even politically and militarily, they were not able to take the precautionary measure that should have taken to ensure that the Guineans would not cross the border, the river, and come onto the Liberian side. Ever since they having negotiation and our president was not felt in that place, that's gross incompetence.
Okay, let's go in there.
That's
Let's
gross
go in there.
incompetence.
You made your point already, Edwin.
You know,
Before I announce that, we'll be speaking with Councillor Fini Kanga,
okay.
because there's this report,
Resigned,
around that. I don't know, he resigns or he was
resigned,
dismissed by the president. We'll have to hear from him any moment from now.
Yes,
we're trying to establish contact with him.
So yes, so like I said earlier, look, conventional military don't just open fire on armed citizens, and even the Guinean military know the repercussion for that.
Okay.
So even when you saw the Guinean military were retreating on the boat, there were Liberians there who were chanting and saying things to them, but they left. Now, the reason why we say the bravery of those young people, because what they did, in as much as we never had our security presence,
I want you to say in as much as it was wrong. That's what I want to say.
That's what I'm going to say. No. You're not going to put words, but in as much as it was wrong.
Our young people
to come and remove our flag and plant their flag, it means that they have violated our territory.
Do you agree? Do you agree with your comrade that the government, the reason why the young people went to exercise that bravery because the government became very.
I don't agree. I don't agree with him. And first of all, look, let me say this: if Prince Kopla, who a political party led this country for 6 years, did not build the military that we need to be able to man all of these
but on his 6 years,
get the mention in there.
Chief,
it didn't happen. You know that? It didn't happen.
No.
Did it happen?
There's a reason why it didn't happen.
No.
There's a reason why it didn't happen.
You know that it didn't happen.
Because at that time, Guinea had a government that respected the civility of every other country. With this new president power,
no, the government's diplomatic posture is not going to give more respect.
Prince, shut up.
We've seen the same
Guinean respond to that.
On the Sierra Leonean territory, where they even arrested Sierra Leonean soldiers and took them into Guinea. And mind you, the current president of Sierra Leone is the chairman of ECOWAS. And we've seen the same thing again happening in our borders. So this is why the president of Liberia has set up a team to go and engage with the Guinean counterpart and find out what is this issue and why are they trying to pursue this route.
Let me hold you there. No, Prince, you are not coming out. Let's hear from
information.
Let's hear from George.
Y'all said it before that when people
Prince,
want to provide information.
Let's hear from George. Prince, let's hear from George.
Prince, as we repeatedly said, we're not coming here to run campaign. This is not politics. When that time comes, I don't care. We can get you the whole radio station and tell you will not win.
Please provide your
so we have to talk different thing. Okay.
Speak. So you have the term.
So we are. Let me provide this information. Let some people know what really happened.
Go ahead.
A Liberian mining company saying.
Except it's different from what your colleague said.
Into that water.
Never said it. Yeah.
The Guinean army went and seized.
But your colleague said it.
But man, we know all that thing.
But why you repeat it?
Give the
If you can give me a chance to talk, let me know. I can leave the show with you tonight.
No, the point is,
the point is, I'm here to provide information. You need to listen to me. You know what I mean? I'm saying, I want to show I leave it.
Because you come to some repetition.
No.
Why you always unfair, man?
My man, Joy, you want go do your MPA work.
I'm a married man, responsible man sitting here.
So
let me say this.
Yeah.
After that incident, the AFL deployed to that particular area. That is information I was lacking. The AFL deployed there and took seize of the matter and posted the Liberian flag. When they withdrew, a certain time later, that's the time the Guinean army went there.
Mhm.
The Liberian government has sent a delegation to Guinea to cross that border led by Francis Nimali and other people, the Minister of Land Mines,
Internal Affairs.
Internal Affairs.
Internal Affairs.
They went to Guinea, they met the Guineans in Guinea. They resolved this matter that it was okay, you get it clear, and the Guineans agreed that they were going to return the equipment to Liberia.
Someone, I got a view.
Prince Kipling, it's not your time to talk.
Instead, you saw that military came behind the airfield, in the after the airfield, and start hosting their flag.
The information cannot be more than
no, this cannot happen.
Thank
so,
you.
Mr. Kripla,
No, you made a point. No,
Mr.
you
Kripla,
don't have to address Kripla. You made a point. Yeah, Prince, you come in.
Yeah, so yeah, is it right? The two arguments are flawed. They are flawed. The first argument that the early administration was respected by the past Guinean administration. Look, respect is not something that is earned. Because the early administration and the weird administration position themselves properly.
But nobody talk about earlier. No, somebody got to stop the bias. No, somebody got to stop the bias. Nobody talk about earlier. No.
I will meet the microphone.
You're addressing. You're addressing.
Yeah.
Let me talk.
Yeah.
So those administration position themselves properly that merit the respect of the Guineans administration. Contrarily to this government, they are not positioned themselves very well. They are just admitted that there have been negotiation. So if there were negotiation, why did you pull out when you know that the negotiation had not been concluded? Why did you pull out of the place? Is that not security blunder to pull out of the area when you have not reached any conclusion? So that's flawed. The government has proven incompetent. Even the fact that you go negotiate and you are not able to find a peaceful resolution to the matter alone indicate your incompetence. That's what we're saying.
All right, let's wait.
So I do agree with people. I do agree with Moses and George that those young people raised their lives, but they did so because they had an incompetent government who could not do what they expected them to do. That's a period.
All right, Dave, let's hear from you.
Dave, answer to that, man.
Dave, let's hear from you.
You know, Prince Kipling, if you carefully listen to Prince Kipling, you notice that Prince is talking out of frustration. Prince was part of a regime that failed. Prince was part of a regime.
Look at his argument. Look at his argument.
Prince was a part of a government that didn't do the right thing and was voted out by the Liberian people. So Prince is still angry. So Prince always will take the kind of line he's taking. Look, the first thing is that the government of Liberia has taken a position. It's taking a diplomatic position in discussing with the Guinean government to find out what must have happened, what their problem is. You know, what their problem is to solve it diplomatically. And there's a guy sitting in America, somewhere in one corner in the United States, is suggesting that the government is incompetent. And I disagree with him.
Okay.
It's out of annoyance that he was prematurely booted out of power, and so he stayed annoyed.
So when the peaceful citizens go protest, then you brutalize them.
Yes, a guy. Listen to the guy. You say peaceful citizens going to protest and they brutalize them. Yes, a guy. So what happened at the U.S. embassy the last time when peaceful citizens want to protest? Who brutalized them? Who brutalized them? It was the CDC, COP. Where was Prince at that time? Where was Prince at that time? Now you have young Liberians or patriotic Liberians at the border who stood their ground and said, look, we are going to defend our country. And you said there in some kind of corner, one of the villages of the United States, and you sit here and you come and claim and make your kind of comments. No, that's absolutely wrong. I disagree with him.
Moses, you can
we are in a village in the United States. I agree.
Prince, gentlemen, we can talk. I know.
So let me just provide an anchor to the discussion. And many of you here are aware that at the latter part of 2025, President Joseph Yoma Boaka underscored the role of Liberia in regional peace, sustaining the regional peace. That's why the FOIA project was erected, the villas. So that is the time now for the president and his administration to effectively put to work the regional Center for Peace and Development. Whenever there's a regional problem, people will assemble at a center to sit and discuss. So let him tell the president of Sierra Leone, the president of, the military leader of Guinea, he said, look, man, we have the center. You come, let's sit down and talk.
They play not finish yet,
Let me complete, my man. It's time for the president to put that to work. I'm not being cynical, but I'm just simply saying that sometimes when we make this public pronouncement, we need to check ourselves and then to demonstrate that.
Okay, so I think let me come in now and then we'll transition because we're supposed to be speaking with Councillor Finley Kanga before we can conduct the interview with the PEL president who just arrived. Gentlemen, for me, and this one position,
that's yours.
I think what the armless youth in FOIA did to resist those Guinean military was totally wrong. We have an institution established, which is the military of our country. As a country to encourage young people, armless young people, to say yes, they did the right thing, to resist the Guinean military, that was totally wrong. In fact, watching the video, at some point in time, the Guinean military that were on ground, they intended to have lunch. Unfortunately, the young people didn't want to give them chance. They had to send for reinforcement. That was totally wrong on the part of our young people.
You had the whole station quiet.
I'll come in. Please,
Or
1 minute.
get
1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Yeah,
1 minute.
lending
No,
all your
1 minute.
flaws opinion.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Your opinion was not flawed, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll respond to it.
The point, you don't have time to respond to me. Because we're about to transition. The point is, no, please, Tabwe.
You have been transition, will still be a team back.
Tabwe, I'm the moderator here. The point is, the point I'm making here, gentlemen, the point I'm making here is that the action by those young men, armless young men, was totally wrong.
We say
It was totally wrong.
We said they were right.
They were wrong to have resisted the Guinean military. In case those Guinean soldiers had retaliated and maybe 2-3 persons died today, what would have happened? The only thing government would have done, oh, we are sorry. No, come and listen. No, no. It's not your turn. It's not your turn. It's not your turn. I'm speaking. That's my turn.
Slow
Please, 1 minute. 1 minute. The only thing the government would have done was to just send message of condolences to the family. And that would have been so. We can encourage lawlessness. That was complete lawlessness. For armless men to go and resist armed men.
So the Guinean was imposing law.
Even on our laws in Liberia, the government can marshal the militia. The government can recruit you and then you go to go and defend this country.
We have to transition.
No, but
David, we have to transition.
But even on our laws, the government can marshal the militia.
The government know how to show that peaceful surveillance.
We are also streaming live on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Just step by Nighttime Heat. You're gonna watch the show on online. Or your YouTube. We are also streaming live on Prime FM Morovia 105.5. We are streaming live on Prime FM Morovia 105.5. We are also streaming live on Prime FM Morovia 105.5 and streaming live on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Like I said, gentlemen, that we should be Prince.
Hey, Prince,
we have to be organized here, please. We will be speaking with Councillor Finlay Kanga as soon as we get him. Initially, we spoke with him and he agreed, but then we had this discussion on. We're trying to re-establish contact with him to see whether we can speak with him, because there's this mix. This conflicting account about his removal. Some said, well, he did resign. Others said from the ombudsman. Others said, no, he was dismissed by the president. So we're trying to establish that. As soon as we get Councillor Finlay Kanga, we're going to speak with Councillor Kanga. And before we can conduct the interview with the PUL president, we'll be discussing with the PUL president, the president of Liberia president, on the issue of the bill to amend the KAK Press Freedom Act. Okay, gentlemen, we have Councillor Kanga now on the line. Councillor Kanga, welcome to the program. Yes, sir.
I've been following the conversation. I appreciate the conversation guys have been having.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. We did appreciate it. Okay, so we've been getting this conflicting account, Councillor Kanga, about your removal from the ombudsman as chair. We don't know how true is it. Maybe you have your radio on. Kindly lower the volume. I'm sure it's from Councillor Kanga. You have a radio on. Kindly lower the volume because we are getting a terrible sound in our ears. Kindly lower your radio. Lower the volume of the radio. Yes, okay. So we are getting the conflicting accounts about your removal, whether you were removed voluntarily, you decided to resign or remove yourself, or whether you were dismissed by the president. Do you care to give us the actual story so that we can so that we can really understand as to what has happened?
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Hello?
So first, yeah,
yeah, you are coming in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'd like to begin by first apologizing to the Liberian people for the disturbing news that you heard, you have been hearing over the past few weeks about the office of the ombudsman, and particularly the chairperson of the office of the ombudsman. That was not good news. It was not a good publicity. And it actually distracts from the office operation. I take the blame for the negative propaganda you actually heard. Now, that doesn't mean that I am guilty of the allegations against the office of the ombudsman. The allegations against the office of the ombudsman, they are all false, wrong. I've done nothing wrong there. Now, specific to your question, whether I was removed by the president or I voluntarily relinquished my position. Look, Osobo, there is nothing that is more important than the advocacy for good governance. I believe in that. And the president himself believes in that. And so considering the negative propaganda, that was not good for the public image. It was not good for the arrest agenda. It was not good for the payload of strengthening the operation of the ombudsman and enhancing the code of conduct. I made a sacrifice as a leader to step aside voluntarily to ensure that the bigger picture of the fight against corruption can be focused on, other than mere allegations that have no basis, whether it's in law or it's in fact. What is most important is the Office of the Ombudsman and government institutions. We should promote them, but we should work with them to ensure that there is going to be improvement into our governance system. So I resigned, and the president accepted that in good faith, and he appreciated the work I did. And so that leads me to going back to what I was doing, which was not different from the Office of the Ombudsman. Continue advocacy for good governance, the rule of law, and accountability in this nation.
Okay.
All those.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So when we hosted you here, he gone off. We're hoping that we can get him back. You're listening to the Nighttime Heat, right on Prime FM 105.5. We had on the line Councillor Finlay Kanga, the former chair of the Ombudsman. He just said that yes, indeed, he resigned, and of course, he was not dismissed by the president. Rather, he resigned the position because of the negativity coming out of the Ombudsman. We're trying to reconnect with him quickly. We're trying to reconnect with him. We're hoping that we can get the councillor as soon as possible. We can get him back on the line. We are trying to establish contact with him. We're hoping that can happen. We can get him back on the line. Okay, let's see what we can check the WhatsApp number. We don't know what's happening. Can't see what we can call him back. We're trying to establish contact with him. We're hoping that either he called back, but we're trying to also call him back. So, gentlemen, you just heard him. We have the president of Liberia president. We'll be having an interview with him. But first, let me hear from you, Otago, from what you heard from.
Actually, because perhaps I didn't have on the earpiece, I didn't get it right. But if you say resign because of the negativity regarding the work of the ombudsman, then that shows that he's a weakling. The fact that you can withstand criticisms, the fact that as head of the ombudsman, because of criticisms of maybe what people see as shortcomings of your workings, and you resign, that means that you are weakling, you're intolerant of critical views, and that's what led to your resignation. Because if you're head of an entity and the criticism that people will notice that you're not doing the right thing or your performance is not to expectation, and because of these critical views and criticism you resign, that shows your weakness. That means that you're intolerant. You're somebody who doesn't want to be criticized, whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. So I mean, if what I'm hearing from him is something to go by, then he to me, he was not the right person to have been the head of the ombudsman, because you're resigning because of criticism, resign of negative perception of people about your workings.
Okay, so let me there. Yeah, Edwin.
Well, let me say this. I think Councillor Kanga has set a new bar in the governance of our country. You see, when you are in an integrity institution and there are internal wrangling, the internal conflict, I don't know whether David Tabet was opportune to see the report. I've seen the report that went to the president's office. And all I can say is that report was done by his colleagues within the office of the ombudsman, because I saw two of the commissioners who were there, their signatures on those reports. And he came here and clearly said that he has not even seen the report. He didn't go through any investigation. It shows that there's some level of undermining or there's some level of conflict within the institutions itself. So as someone who believes in the integrity of this institution, he believed that, look, I think I should step aside. If my deputies are fighting me, and then they've even gone to the extent of even reaching to the executive mansion, I don't want to stay on to denigrate the integrity of this office. So I think he did the honorable thing. Look, it is not only in Liberia that Councillor Kanga is not the first person to have done this thing in Liberia. If this thing happened in the West, all right? You don't have to be caught stealing or doing something. Once your integrity comes to caution, the best thing to do is to step aside, because you're being there could further denigrate the institutions and then the institution itself could lose the focus on what it's supposed to do. Like he said, the office of the ombudsman was created as an integrity institution to checkmate people within the governance structure. Now, if members of that institutions are having conflict among themselves, if your subordinates are ganking up against you and taking reports without even you knowing and taking it to the office of the president, it means that there is a huge conflict in there. So the best that you need to do is to just extract yourself. And I think that's what he did.
Okay, George, let's hear from you.
I thought I heard one time that he was on tape soliciting some bribe.
Yes.
Let's hit the actual truth. And if that is it, and he cannot speak to it repeatedly and when he resigned and said because he wants to save the integrity of the institution. That's one side to say you want to save the integrity of the institution. It is another side for you to clear your name.
No, but he said it. He opened to for any investigation
from this character issue, because if you are hailing, corruption fights back in Liberia, and when you are fighting people or corruption,
they will fight you back.
They will fight you back. So probably he did it. For me, he had come out and say, look, this thing happened, I respect him more than he's saying I'm leaving to say in order just wanted to save the institutional integrity. Because the institution is more than you, is true. But what about this allegation? You say you saw the report.
Okay, so we hope
this report that you saw, did they address the issue of this
allegation?
Well, the report, like he said, and when I read the report, it did not say that he was spoken to. It was just complaint from one of the staff in there that went to the various other commissioners there. This guy, Martin Colley, had that report on his page. Now, the thing is that, and Councillor Finde Kanga said it on this radio, that he's open to whatsoever investigation that will be done, whether by the Ministry of Justice or by any institutions to exonerate himself. He said it keenly that he was not even interviewed. Nobody spoke with him. But when the institution's integrity is being brought to public disrepute, you can stay on. You can stay on. And
there is another component of it that has to do with his integrity, his involvement, alleged involvement into this solicitation. So if it is true,
gentlemen, let's see what we can get Councillor Kanga back on the line. Here we'll talk to you. Rest assured. Councillor Kanga, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm in Tudi.
Okay.
Can you imagine I'm right here in Tudi and I'm having difficulty with the connection?
Okay.
So it means we have to even discuss more with our government to ensure that we can improve these services for our people.
Yeah, surely.
I cannot get it.
Yeah, surely. So, Councillor Kanga, you are stepping aside, or you've done so already, when there's still allegation about you soliciting some monies from from a staff of the ombudsman, including scratch cards and all of that. You are stepping down, or you've stepped down when those allegations are still fresh in the minds of people. How are you going to fight back to redeem your image?
Thank you. The institution of bringing people, that's bigger. And I want to see that institution grow. I want the institution to focus on the amendment of the institution. And I'm willing to work with the transitional team that may be set up by the president to ensure that the office is rebranded. But the point of allegations against me, what I can tell you right now, those are criminal allegations. I have no doing in them. I've done no wrong. And I'm open to any investigation by any agency. As a matter of fact, I'm talking to my lawyers right now. I'm sure there are going to be no more lawsuits that we can do as private individuals, and that the government that can do criminal investigation or any institution. So please, if you want to investigate and you are a law enforcement agency, please go ahead and do an investigation. We cannot sit in a country and allow people to damage other people's character only because you are demanding resources from the country, a pot of money, small. You want to take that for a personal advertisement. And I'm saying, no, I cannot do that. I would never work in a government entity to take money for myself. Taking money for conferences, I'm going to attend private conferences. I'm not going to do that. Taking money from the pay bad deal for myself, I'm not going to do that. Taking money and buying food to eat, I'm not going to do that. Taking money to build your house or use money outside of the allotted budgetary arrangement, I'm not going to do that. Any couple of Liberians that know me, they know what I actually stand for. I believe in this thing. I've done no wrong. Those are allegations that I've made. They have no basis. I'm open for any investigation. As I said, my family, my friends, and the team of lawyers, I'm actually going to put together soon. There will be a lot of civil suits that are going to be filed within the coming days. Now, I'm not spreading investigation. I advocate for investigation, and I'm always going to advocate for that. And no one should actually think that because Councillor Kanga is not in government, and so you are going to stay in government and try to make it with resources, I'm going to continue to advocate for the code of conduct. It is one of the best instruments we have in the country to promote ethical governance across the nation. I understand George or someone saying that it's weakling to resign. No, it's honorable to resign. I cannot be the institution of culture, institutional mandate. I will never do that. And
okay.
Encouraging other people to ensure that they do that. Right now, what I'm working on is my asset declaration. I hope that can be done soon, so I'll file that with the LCC. So the LCC can, if they want to investigate, they can probably try to investigate to know my assets. If it's in line with the resources that actually make wealth in government, along with the resources that are being made by my wife and the son.
Okay.
So if you want to think about moving the country differently, you'll be encouraging your friends not to hold on to any institution, but to promote institution. And I'm going to advocate more for good governance. I'm going to advocate for the principle of the code of conduct.
Okay, so Councillor, we just wanted to take one or two calls from my panelists, and then we allow you to go, please, quickly. George.
Councillor, this is Kennedy. Who are you going to file the lawsuit against? Is it going to be, you already know who tarnished your reputation allegedly, that you're going to file the lawsuit against? And where is that person?
Well, my lawyers have not said that yet. Once my lawyer can conclude, you are going to know appropriately.
Okay. Moses Sunday, you got me a question quickly?
I do not have a question. I just want to say something. I want to speak to the integrity.
Okay.
Councillor.
He's off the line. Like you say, he's in rural Liberia, so the signal is not too encouraging.
Okay, so this is what I want to say, gentlemen. You have a very serious allegation against or levied against the head of the office of the ombudsman, an integrity institution. And in the wake of that, the government has never admitted the allegation because we have not heard of it. In the wake of that, the accused people, well, you know, this thing has to do with the integrity of the entity want to step aside. I beg to differ with the councillor because it is your integrity. You resign today, that doesn't solve the problem. This will continue to haunt you for years. People will say, oh, well, you resigned because he took money. They're not even going to use the word allegedly. He took money from his special assistant. You were deducting $500 monthly. If I were in his position, what I would have done, I would have remained on persist Follow up contact with the executive mansions. Hey, Mr. President, I want to be investigated. I will make sure that my name is clear. When you clear your name, you resign. It is good. Now, another critic of the councillor could even say, hey, this resignation could have been what? Coerced. Meaning that the executive mansion reached out to you and said, look, Finney, we don't want to go through all this thing here with you. What we had before is enough to let you go. But we do not want to ruin your integrity. All we want you to do, resign. He may say, oh, well, that did not happen. Does he know how long it's going to take him to keep explaining to people? He has a lot. His integrity is in the line. So the rest of it, I think it was well considered. That's why I want to say.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Moses. Gentlemen, we'll have to transition.
No, I got to speak, George.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So, first, let me respectfully disagree with my brother Moses that the councillor shouldn't have resigned. I disagree. In fact, the councillor resignation demonstrates strength. People would have alleged that he's holding onto the position to continue to shield himself. But the councillor has demonstrated strength by resigning. So all of those who have accused the councillor now, they have the opportunity to go and prove him wrong. That's the first point. But trust me, the UP government, they're not going to go after the councillor. They got nothing wrong against Councillor Kanga. The only thing that has happened that I know for a fact is that this councillor has been very strong with the Ambrose man, thinking that Mr. President was very serious about, integrity in the government. So he's been doing exceptionally well. I remember there are a lot of reports that he has put out demanding the government to release certain people of their posts. Take, for instance, the United Party was very big on transparency, accountability. They criticized the CDC administration that people who were in the CDC political party should not be holding public position. Today, the entire leadership of the United Party are in the government. Amos Tuwe, LPRC Managing Director, Secretary General, that was Reverend Luthor Stape, Chairman of the Board of Authority of the Board of Freeport of Monrovia. He's in the government. Minister of Youth and Sport, Colina Kopokra. She's also Assistant Secretary General of the United Party. Mo Ali, LWSC Managing Director. Those are all things that the code of conduct frown against. And this councillor have been fighting against this. And these are the people that are fighting back. Elements within the United Party have undermined the councillor for a very long time that it just fair enough for him to give way so that the Liberian people job can be done. Okay. The president said is not serious, like I've said before, about
yes, all right. I think you spoke on. You spoke on. We have to transition. We have to transition.
Very serious. Prince, we have to transition. Inability and unwillingness to fight corruption.
Prince, we have to transition. You spoke on already. We are doing this thing by time. We have to transition. We given a special time to speak. You have to exhaust and speak what you want to say. What you want to say in that.
Everybody had long time. I had small time.
So you spoke on already. Okay, so gentlemen, we have the president of the Press Union of Liberia, Mr. Julius Kanoba. In fact, we'll host him at 8:30, but because of those discussions, so we'll have to put him back. But Mr. President, welcome to the program, and thank you for your patience.
It is a pleasure to form part of the important platform at this particular time. I'm excited to be your midst. I'm also excited to be of my colleagues, Josh Kennedy, Dave Tagbe, yes, and Moses Sandy.
Okay,
it's always good to be here.
Okay, so you are here up to 9:25, and I would let you go.
You said 9 o'clock. I mean,
Mr. President, so I'm not media.
From 8 to 9. But since we couldn't do the program that time, So you'll be here from 9 to 9:25. Now, first, let's get your take. I mean, you had the umbrella organization of all the press people. I know you've interacted with the ombudsman. You follow their job as well, follow the work they do. Now that amidst the conflict and all the speculations, allegations, Councillor Finlay Kanga has stepped aside.
Well, thank you. I've been involved in some of the activities of the work of the Office of the Ombudsman. The creation of the Ombudsman's Office is a result of a concerted efforts by civil society, people in the public sector and the private sector to help us to govern the conduct of people within the public sector, also within the private sector in terms of the relationships that are developed. I was shocked when I heard that Councillor Finlay Kanga, the chairperson of the Office of the Ombudsman, was linked to the issue of corruption, abuse of power. I was very shocked. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we participated in the conference by the very Office of the Ombudsman as to how to strengthen this Ombudsman's Office to conduct its work. And prior to that, as you see, I've been involved in some of the activities, and the staff in question at the Office of the Ombudsman months ago got to the PUL, complaining about an illegal dismissal process as a result of his own disposition towards certain requests at the time by Councillor Kanga. And we should say, I mean, let's be clear, right? The resignation of Councillor Kanga was expected. It was very definitive. The report that was produced by his colleagues, it is comprehensive. It is a factual report. Factual report. There are pieces of evidence, right, that were gathered by his colleagues.
You saw the report?
And yes, I saw the report. The report is right before me. If you go on the front page, Africa's website, you see
pieces of evidence. So it's a signature signed to request made.
I've spoken with the staff. That staff concerned, right? Even at this particular conference.
No, right? But you have indicted him now.
No, I've not
indicted him. You said the evidence. Yes, the report is factual.
It's authentic.
So did you see his signature signed to documents, requesting money and all of that?
Audio recording.
Right? You heard his voice?
Voice recording. I mean,
that could be doctor. You know that, right?
Well,
it
could be.
It could be. Yeah.
No, listen now. Councillor Finlay is not somebody.
It's good. I want to push my own president around tonight.
No, listen now. Councillor Finlay, like one of your colleagues said, is not somebody who would just be pushed against the wall. His reputation, his credibility, his integrity has been at stake for the past 4 to 5 months. I mean, the issue of internal fight, I don't agree with that perspective. In fact, the issue that he raised about people raising points about division of money for vehicles, about paying bar association fees. I mean, those are trivial issues. You did not raise those issues, right, until your colleagues subjected you to an investigation, and he was given the due process to appear before his colleagues. And the mistake he made, which of course has caught up with him, was that he thought as chairperson of the Office of the Ombudsman, he cannot be subjected to an investigation by the very ombudsman. And that's misleading. The Code of Conduct, that 2014 Code of Conduct Act, it says it applies to all public servants and employees of government. He is a public servant. I mean, you have commission, but it does not mean if you violate the very code of conduct that you are to enforce, you cannot be subjected to an investigation. What also happened that was strange was that one of the staff in Councillor Finlay's and Kanga's office went to court to put an injunction over the investigation that was being done internally. Right? We have to be honest. Right? The Presidium stands for honesty within society. It is so sad, right? Because look, the people at the Office of the Ombudsman, Councillor Lami Pago, Councillor Emunia, for example, those are all lawyers. Those are his peers. from the very same Louis Arthur Graham School of Law, international schools, they come together to work to ensure the conduct within the public sector. So, if a staff is working and you reach some form of agreement, and at certain times there is a disagreement, and that staff decides, do you know that the staff concerned was dismissed in order not to go to work back at Councillor Kanga? Right? It was what caused the staff to alarm, because the human resource manager at that particular office of the ombudsman said this staff cannot be dismissed because, one, he was now warned, he was not suspended, the civil service processes were not followed. That's how his colleagues said we have to investigate. And for me, I say it is unfortunate because this office was gaining momentum, but it has created this sort of a dark cloud. But what is important now, his removal through his resignation, because this is a forced removal. If you read the recommendations in the report, he said he should be dismissed immediately, be turned over to the Justice Ministry for prosecution, right? So those points, I'm hearing from Councillor Kanga that, yes, he has got his lawyers to move on in terms of proceedings with, some legal processes. But hey, I mean, you had the opportunity. So if I'm accused in this institution of doing something, a committee is investigating, if I now committed wrong, why should I not appear before this committee? Why? I mean, Fine is somebody that everyone trusted. And so we have to be clear. Lamin Kpago, Emonia, and the staff at the office of the ombudsman, people were interviewed. Read the reports.
Let me ask you work with Lamin Kpago, right?
No, I've not worked with Lamin Kpago.
He's a friend of yours, right?
Friend?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a media person.
I know the reason why I'm asking.
No,
I know the reason why I'm asking.
Relationships are established. Friends, professional friend, yes. I have no personal connection with Lamin Kpago.
No, because the reason why I'm asking, I'm coming, Mr. President. You are sounding as if you are. I mean, you support his removal because he has done something wrong.
He's in the internal fight.
Are you sure of that?
Listen, Dr. Aaron Weir from the Dukwa Institute was invited from a civil society perspective to sit on the panel. Aaron Weir will not compromise his integrity after going for doctoral studies for 4 years to get a doctorate degree. Right? You come in Liberia to say you want to start with a group of people that trying, quote unquote, to undermine the work of Councillor Fine. No. So, the guy who brought this case against Councillor Fine Kanga, right? I told you he got to the president more than 4 months ago. And he said, Mr. President, keep everything confidential. So, but this guy was in a distressed position. And as president of the union,
is it a Cooper fellow?
Yeah, Francis Cooper.
I know.
Francis Cooper. Right. And as president of the union, people can confide in you, and there are certain things you have to.
And you kept it very confidential.
Even our colleague Labi, who is on, this ombudsman I never ever.
He didn't confide in you.
No day. Right.
You didn't send any information.
No way. Sabo.
Out on piece of paper that you.
Not anything. So the point is. This report was sent to the office of the president, right? And President Walker, from the pattern we've seen, does not waste time with a report that is deemed as authentic. By authentic, factual, the president does not waste time, right? So what we expect now, in the face of Councillor Fine Kanga's own disposition towards the report, towards his resignation, we expect that the president will constitute an independent panel, because that was our next point, right? Yes, internal investigations were done.
Do we have a problem tonight?
I think I'm from the studio.
Yeah, I think so, Prince. Not the studio. Over there. Then everybody gone dead. Only 2 hours. That from the studio.
I think their internet gone down. Wow. All right. I think they're back on.
Are you guys okay now?
I think Sobo is not on yet.
Yeah, Edwin, George, are you okay? I think you're still having problem over there. Tagbe, are you there? They have a problem in the studio. Are we okay?
I'm sure they are probably facing some problem with the microphone or
the Wi-Fi connection, maybe.
Well, we sincerely apologize for the breaking transmission. That was due to a power outage. But we are back on the program. This is Nighttime Heat, right here on Prime FM 105.5. We are streaming live on Prime FM Monrovia 105.5. We are also streaming live on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. We have in studio the Press Union of Liberia President Julius Kanoba. We hear from him relative to the issue of the ombudsman, and then we'll go into the act that it's before that's in committee's room to amend the KEK press freedom law. We hear from him, on that before he can leave. That you are in speech, Mr. President.
Yes, like I said, the situation is regrettable, right? Because this is an office that should have been set up to investigate ethical issues, but the very office now, through the chairman, the office of the chairman, is being subjected to these sort of huge allegations. And my only regret is that Councillor Finlay did not want to appear before her colleagues, and this is stated within the report.
Okay, so
right.
Let's fast forward.
So it is problematic.
What is expected now is
Yes.
to set up an
independent panel to look at this report, because the issue has not been conclusive. As much Councillor Finlay Kanga agreed to resign per the statement by the executive mansion, which is a clever way to say, okay, yeah, it's a constructive dismissal, to speak, because the report has been before the office of the president. It has been before the office of the president, and given the pattern we've seen with the Joseph Walker administration, when there are issues, right, you have to subject yourself to an investigation. An internal investigation was done, and nobody will say that Councillor Finlay was not given a due process, right? Because, Councillor Finlay is a lawyer, for instance. I don't know on what grounds he said he cannot be investigated by the office of the ombudsman, because her colleagues are acting not just as colleagues, but as people who have taken the oath to ensure that the conduct of public officials.
Okay,
is in keeping
let
with
me
the
hold you there. Let me
conduct.
hold you there before we can transition to go through the issue of the KAK Act that's supposed to be amended. Gentlemen, any of you people have questions for the PUL president on this? Okay, I think Kanga is trying to.
I got question for the PUL president.
Before you come in, let's hear Councillor Kanga. Councillor Kanga, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. I managed to follow a little bit the president of the PUL and his assertion about the allegation seemed to be blinded, one-sided, and intended in order to continue the management character. How can you make such baseless argument and say anyone can put themselves together and investigate anybody? Can you do that? In the president, can you have two of your staff put themselves together in secret and investigate you? Are you going to subject us to that? Is there a policy that you want the government to adapt?
But what is the secret nature of the office of the ombudsman, Councillor Finlay?
So you gotta win, Mr. President.
No. I mean, let him just answer that question. What is the secret? No, Sabo.
No, you ask the question, but let him learn.
Mr. President, you gotta get it mentioned.
No, it's not subordination.
No, but that's
No,
not
get it mentioned, Mr. President.
You're getting it wrong. The office of the ombudsman.
Mr. President, you have to get it mentioned. Let the man respond.
Yeah, let the man learn, please. Go ahead, Councillor Finlay. Kanga.
What the president is arguing, if we take that as the public policy of the nation, there's going to be chaos across the entire government. So, for example, at the LCC, that has a strong commissioner. And you say 3 commissioners or 4 commissioners can call themselves majority, have meeting of their own, and say they are going to investigate the chair lady, Manazo. Or at the LTC, you get 3 of the 5 commissioners and say we want to investigate 2 other commissioners. That's going to be
Saba, just hold the chairman. Let me just read. Chairman Finlay. Chairman Finlay. Chairman Finlay. Chairman Finlay. Chairman Finlay.
No, but let you finish.
So I think you gotta regulate the president.
Right? So I think that the president application for a new public policy is not the norm in a country. Now go to the Fulani Kofi case with the majority. The Supreme Court told you there that when you have a speaker or the head of agency, no majority can convene or organize a meeting without the speaker consent or his involvement. And that's what the public policy in the nation. So having 2 presidents by themselves, and they say will constitute a panel, it's a violation of the public policy. It is not due process. And besides, when they say due process, you must know who are investigating you. My dear brother, you say you saw that report. The report told you that Councillor Kanga did not appear. Councillor Kanga did not know there was an investigation that you had that we are on. No. Look, you didn't have things. That was done in secrecy. Complete secrecy. You ask Aaron Ware if he ever approached me as a panel member. Ask Aaron Ware if there was an introduction that a panel had been created. My dear brother, do not sit in studio because you have the platform to begin to malign the character of Councillor Kanga. I'm not afraid of investigation. Why are you not advocating for independent panel?
I said it.
Yes, that was done by part of your friend. Was an independent panel. That was why I'm not advocating for independent panel. And I just to add that. And this is how the country is for that gullible. You listen to everything, you fly with it.
So,
I Councillor Kanga would take $500 for anyone.
Yeah, Jack, I'm
Please think differently about me. And when I did, I didn't do it because I'm guilty. I've done nothing wrong. I've only served the country in the best of my capacity. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to advocate for the code of conduct. I'm going to advocate based on what I know, and this is my passion. You sit in there because you have the platform and you say you want to continue to denigrate and pretend like I've done this. All those are lies. Did you have to prepare for the document you're talking about? I've never seen them. You said there's a video recording. There is an audio tape that's done. I've never seen them. I have no interaction with them. And it's not due process. In the due process, an independent partner would have been established and all of documents would have been made available. More so, my dear brother, the code of conduct implemented, the Office of the Ombudsman does not investigate criminal matters. When a matter is criminal in nature, it requires certain level of sophistication in handling the material that will be in there to protect the defendant's rights.
Okay.
You are not protecting my rights. You are there killing me out there. And no matter how you form part of it, I can just suggest to see you have the public doctor no document you are talking about. I've never seen that.
So are you going to include a PL in your lawsuit?
The man is a possible witness.
I don't want to actually include him because he should be my character.
Okay.
Some an allegation of those.
He wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is actually
All right, Councilor, let's just Councilor, just hold the line. Councilor, just hold the line. Just hold the line. The PL president said he wants to read a document. Let's hold the line quickly. 1 minute.
Councilor Finley.
But someone, please
No.
let me
Hello, Prince. Stop.
Prince, 1
It's
minute.
not CDC United Party
Prince,
team,
1 minute.
right? Yeah. So,
Mr. President,
Finley,
will ask you
Councilor
questions.
Finley,
You can get
does
counsel.
the Code of
Ask
Conduct of
questions.
2014
What are you
does
talking
it
about?
apply to you as a public servant?
Indeed, it does. It applies to all of us.
Good.
It applies to all those who have an interaction with government.
Good. So yes. Good. So section 1.3, right, on interpretation, specifically section 1.3.17, the ombudsman. It said the ombudsman means someone or a group of persons appointed or authorized by the President of the Republic of Liberia and confirmed by the Senate to enforce, oversee, monitor, and evaluate adherence to the code of conduct. Such individual or group of persons shall receive, investigate complaints against public officials, employees of government, and national institutions. Given what section 1.3.17 say, right, do you think that your colleagues were wrong to investigate an allegation against you?
My dear brother, you have read a definition of what the ombudsman is.
Good.
I've now dealt with section 12 of the Code of Conduct that talk about the management of the office. Section 12.1 to 12.6 define the operational framework of the office of the ombudsman. It says there is a chairperson that is regarded as the chief executive officer. He is responsible to execute all functions of the agency, which is common to all agencies. Now, the only rule they provide in there is that in decision making, they're going to be majority decision making.
Council.
So in order to understand
Isn't the chairperson not a public servant? That's the question.
Listen, you are not a lawyer, so we discuss with me listening. Right? We don't discuss law like that. There is not propaganda. There's not meant in order to harm you. So the definition framework in the law is to provide an understanding of what the ombudsman is.
That's the operational definition.
Provide the administrative operation of the office. What you are reading is the definition, is not the operation.
Council, don't have on it.
But somebody the president cannot regulate the show. You should be taking charge of the show.
Don't have, you see, so this is the point, right? And this was a mistake by Councilor Finley Kanga, right?
The president is a guest. He cannot be on the show while the man is providing his opinion without your intervention, and he regulating the show. That's wrong.
So what are you doing now, Prince?
That's wrong.
Okay. All right, Councilor, thank you for making it.
Right, guess. You can't do that to the councilor.
If you have any need to call back, you can call back. But thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this. And the president, please try to be being biased as you are. When they can council, please respect your orders in the right. And you are actually violating my right as an accused person.
Okay. All right, Councilor. Thank you. Thank you.
The president risk going to jail.
I get a question for the president.
Let's be clear, right? Section 1.3.20, it defines public official, right? Look, when laws provide definitions, those definitions are definite and they are consequential, right? So no matter how much you position yourself as chairman, as a commissioner, as whosoever within a public entity of the country, you are not above the law. That should be emphasized.
But
Councilor Gonglo has repeatedly reminded us that nobody is above the law, right? So listen, it's a public officials mean any elected or appointed person holding a public position. So if a chairman within the office of the ombudsman says he cannot appear before the very ombudsman office, then it's problematic. So who holds the office of the ombudsman accountable now? Right? Who holds? It is the very office.
So Slobo, let me
Can I ask
Mr. President a question?
You ask a question.
No, I don't. I just want to provide some points because I see the back and forth, right?
No, there's nothing about back and forth.
He's actually giving the literal function of the entity, but in every institution there are hierarchies.
No, neither sort.
Hey, bossman are coming out. No, bossman. Julius, give me a chance now. No,
Mr. President,
Julius, the person who went to you. The person who went to you were equally wrong by going to you to confide in you because it's a criminal issue, right? No.
The president has been taking side.
Somebody is being accused.
Bribery is
the Ministry of Justice is the entity responsible to investigate these kind of crime if it's happening in our country. Now, like you rightly said, nobody is above the law. So if you have other commissioner who are subordinate to Councilor Kanga,
subordinates,
and a boss, there's a chairman. No. Chief, there's a boss in every institution. Yeah, there are subordinates. There's a reason why the law says chairman, the chairman. They are subordinates.
That was subordination.
Is that you have a director? If you have a director and you have a deputy director.
About subordination or whatsoever. Now that the report was submitted to the president,
subordination.
What's it in the same report that influence the councillor to resign?
That's why he said he's stepping aside because he doesn't want this thing to split over to the institution. So he's opening himself to investigation. Now, the mistake that was made, right? His colleagues there would have subjected this thing to Ministry of Justice because Ministry of Justice, his colleagues, all right? His colleagues made a mistake by setting up an investigation to investigate him.
You don't understand the function because
when you are at LBS, right? As deputy, right? When you are at LBS as deputy, right?
Can I appear before the office of the ombudsman because
no, that's not what no, that's not what. No, that's what we say. No, that's what we say. No, but you setting up a very bad precedent in this country to say that a group of officials can come together and investigate their bossman. No, that's wrong.
The office.
What is the office of the ombudsman? It is the LACC. You cannot do that. Now you can invite other government institutions to come and investigate this process.
To take over the roles of the office.
It has been done. No, because he's been accused of a criminal act. So what is a criminal act? You can subject him to either LACC or you can subject him to the Ministry of Justice.
Wait. Go ahead. Bribery. The core conduct. Right?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Sorry, I got 1 minute.
Bribery is an allegation.
Listen. No, 1 minute. The core of conduct defines bribery, right? It defines bribery as means any reward, it means any reward or inducement paid to a public official or employee of government for doing or forbearing to do anything in respect of any matter or transaction within the scope of their official duties. It is anything promised, offered, given, accepted, or received by a public official, employee, or government for or on account of favor given to be given in the exercise of his or her official functions, and includes what is known in local terminology as cold water or eating, right? So Councillor Finney can be subjected, and he was subjected to this.
But Chief, those are allegations.
Like, no, listen.
Those are allegations.
These are allegations, but allegations.
Our law says you are proven innocent until
you are telling me that the office of the
proven guilty.
ombudsman does not have that investigative
No.
to investigate
Chief,
bribery.
Chief,
You send it to the Justice Ministry
Chief,
because it is
Chief,
the chairman.
No, Chief.
No, he's
Chief,
supporting corruption
Chief,
in this country.
no, Chief, that's not true.
It is bad.
No.
It is bad.
No.
But what you doing now?
Supporting
What you doing
corruption.
now?
It is
You're trying to actually undermine the institution.
Take control.
Listen.
You can't do that.
Mr. President,
It's supporting corruption.
I'm sure Prince Crippler has a question. Or I
No,
don't-
Prince
comment.
left. Prince
Prince,
left.
you can tell me.
He can't stay the heat.
Prince,
He's gone.
And so it says a person has committed bribery if B, and online B, right? He or she directly or indirectly solicits or accepts any undue advantage for himself.
Allegations.
Right?
They are
No.
not
Listen
proven
now,
facts.
listen, man, look, my brother.
You read it literally. Those are allegations.
So on
It
what
means
basis
that
do you
if the person
investigate?
is
If the person is guilty of that,
crime,
yes.
of course.
what the law saying?
But I'm not saying
But he has not been-
literally.
But he has not been investigated.
Oh,
He has not.
How
And he
he
said it
said
to
so?
you. He said it.
an investigative report was sent, submitted to the office of the
That's
president.
why I
He said
said
he
there
has
is
not been
internal conflict in
investigated.
there, and you
He
try
has
to
not been
disprove the facts.
investigated.
You're trying to improve the fact
So
that there's no
why I
internal
said you never
conflict there.
reported about this internal conflict until the
Why?
report came out?
okay.
But as something can bring us something.
Trivial.
No.
Trivial.
No, it's
A
not.
trivial
All right.
issue.
Okay.
No.
Mr. President, Moses, you can come in. Then we have a question or a comment.
Let me just say something quickly. Look, guys, we can't spend all our time trying to resolve this problem here. If there are legitimate arguments here to be made, and one thing that really confuses me is in terms of due process at the office of the ombudsman. What is that due process like? What does the law provide for? Let's assume that the chairman is in the wrong. Who does he submit to if there has to be an investigation? Does it mean that 2 or 3 persons, who are also commissioner can get together and say, hey, Mr. Chairman, we want to have a discussion with you. We want to investigate this. Is that the kind of due process we have in place? If not, then it falls back on the lap of the executive to take the appropriate actions to resolve the problem. And I would like to close by saying that the resignation from the chairman, I think it was not well considered because his integrity is now his integrity has been drawn into question. The integrity of the institution has also been drawn into question. The only way out is to resolve this problem here by telling us what actually happened. Did he commit the crime? If he didn't, the executive needs to resolve this problem. That would be my proposition.
Okay.
So this matter has been resolved. A constructive path, right? I mean, Councillor Finney is a lawyer. Sometimes you can file petitions to the Supreme Court. You know what the Supreme Court can do? They ignore you. They say constructive decline, right? Councillor Finney has taken the constructive path, right, to move on, right? So if I were in her position, the office of the ombudsman, we should not look at Lamine Kpagor or Edmonio as individuals. We are looking at them as the office of the ombudsman. They are there to investigate misconduct, right? So they constitute a body, 3 persons. And what we heard from Councillor Finney, Councillor Kpagor, Councillor Edmonio in the international stakeholders engagement was that even one commissioner, right, can investigate. Councillor Finney could prove me right The procedure they have, I mean, I think Moses was asking about due process. Due process is you are cited, you could choose to appear or not to appear, but you are given. You should be heard. So if you choose to remain silent, it does not mean the accusations against you are silent, right? So if you are sued before the Supreme Court or taken to the Supreme Court, so to speak, or before any court, and you are invited, if you stay behind, what can happen? Ruling will be made in default. Ruling will be made.
Judgment.
Yeah, default judgment, right? So let's be clear.
Okay.
This code of conduct applies, like I said, to all public officials and employees of government. And Councillor Finney, like I asked the question, he agrees that he is a public servant.
Okay.
It depends on the nature of the conflict for a default judgment. That's
Mr. President,
of the conflict where they can have a default judgment.
Which nature now?
Chief. I'm not cherry picking.
Now,
don't wrongly.
Mr. President,
No.
We have to transition. Time is running out.
Right.
But you not be fair.
It's not fair.
Because you said Lamin said that one commissioner can take an issue.
No, I did not say.
We need to. No.
I did not say.
What is the law that says that? And Moses asked the same question. What is the law? Can we see that law in the book? No.
I read the law to you.
But who has authority at the place?
The office of the ombudsman shall investigate any misconduct.
So, and the law went further down to give you the stages of different positions at the level of the ombudsman, right?
Wait. Did the law say you can be shielded?
The law doesn't shield anybody.
Then why is saying he does not want to be subjected to investigation by his colleagues?
No, but that could not be the proper procedure. And he said it.
Wait. So what is the proper procedure?
So what stopped them from getting the Ministry of Justice or the LCC coming in to
How
investigate?
How can you take your role?
No.
How can you take your
that's
role,
not true, Chief. That's not
How can you take your role?
That's
the thing.
That stops them from investigating.
Is there any provision in that same law that says that the other commissioners can come out to investigate our colleagues?
Yes.
No, it's not there. He challenged that.
The colleague is a public servant.
He challenged that aspect.
Councillor
Finney cannot challenge that aspect.
Gentlemen, we have to transition.
Yeah.
We have to transition. We've been on this for long. We have to transition.
For me, someone like I said from the beginning, it's a regrettable situation. And what has happened now, it will strengthen the office of the ombudsman because you have people who will not compromise. No matter
Are you sure?
Who will not compromise.
All right.
Who will not compromise because even if something happens at the office of the ombudsman, the staff there, right? In summer, this is employee of the entity, working directly in the office of the now resigned chairman of the office.
So I think that Moses rightly said the best way to clear this thing, Councillor Kanga has now availed himself of an independent investigation. They will go through the process. No, don't say stop it.
So why Councillor
they will go through
now have subjected himself to investigation?
Because he said he couldn't do it because those were his subordinates.
There's something called administrative hearings.
I know that very well.
You have to follow it. When things occur,
you cannot subject the head of the entity
to administrative hearings,
to investigation.
Let's go to the next topic.
That's why government said institution.
You're wasting our time.
Can you subject the chairman of the board of the institution to a hearing by the managing director? Can you do that?
He's not the chairman of the board. There is no board.
Can you suggest? Can you suggest the director general and the deputy investigation? You can do that.
The board. Listen. The board chairman can be investigated by the board. The board is
by the board.
Yeah,
right.
Mr. President.
The commissioners. No, listen now. To your analogy, the commissioners at the office of the ombudsman, they constitute the board.
They are his subordinates.
What was subordinate?
All right, so 1 minute.
He's the chairman.
1 minute. 1 minute, gentlemen. We have to go. 1 minute. We have to transition, Mr. President. We call you principally.
Let's go to the
for a reaction to the K&K out of press freedom that Jan Flomo and others want to amend. Let's get to a take, and then we can allow you to go. We do our last discussion and leave. Let's hear your reaction to the Jan Flomos and others who want to amend the K&K. The K. Are you calling Camera press freedom law?
We're thanking again for the opportunity to form part, and I'm sorry that we took time to speak on the accountability issue, which is very critical. Like Councillor Finlay, and us, we have a very good professional relationship. I mean, I should be able to say. During his tenureship at the Office of the Ombudsman, we work with them to ensure that everything is done to support the press union and to support the Office of the Ombudsman. So we speak as a basis of promoting integrity within the public sector of the country. So we owe no apology to anyone. We owe no loyalty, no favor to anyone. We speak without fear or favor. So with the issue of you
got 5 minutes to address this, please.
Yes. The proposed amendments to the Abdullah Kamara Act of Press Freedom to create what is referred to as the promotion or protection from gender-based online abuse and harassment, as a proffer by Representative Jan Flomo of Nimba County District Number 2. The press union fundamentally disagrees with this particular amendment. First, the KAK Act of Press Freedom decriminalizes 3 provisions, right, of or repealed, right, 3 provisions of the penal law of 1978 of Liberia. One focuses on criminal malevolence, right, libel against the president, the issue of sedition. So those were the 3 areas the KAK Act, right, repealed. So those are all anti-free speech offenses that were on the books in the 1970s up to the 1980s, the early 2000s. So the legislature, on the basis of the prompting of the executive, right, took a decision to repeal those 3 provisions. Now, after a few years, people have been quoting the KAK Act of Press Freedom. And this is what we told members of the Joint Committee of the House of Representatives on Judiciary, Information, Broadcasting, Culture, and Tourism. We informed them that people are making reference to the KAK Act without understanding what the KAK Act repealed, right? So members of the committee, in majority, they have this sort of a predisposition that abuses of freedom of speech or expression are a result of the KAK Act. But that is not true. The KAK Act is very specific about certain criminal laws that were repealed. And those laws that were repealed can no longer suffice in a democratic context, in keeping with the Constitution of 1986. Now, Representative Jan Flomo presented a proposed amendment to the KAK Act to penalize abuses online and to penalize abuses through electronic media, electronic communication. So it's a clever attempt to recriminalize free speech in the country, press freedom, right? So we are very clear. The press union respectfully appeals to members of the Joint Committee, to the House of Representatives, the National Legislature as a whole. Please do not disturb the KAK Act, because the KAK Act decriminalizes what the Jan Flomo protection from gender-based abuse, online harassment, recriminalizes. So there is a conflict, right? We inform members of the committee in the House of Representatives that drawing on the point by Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, Section 17.3 of the Penal Law of 1978, it covers the issue of abuse or abusive language. The issue of perfect key, for example. The issue of perfect key, right? If you use abusive language involving any other person, that person can sue you civilly, right? Can sue you civilly, and the courts will have to decide. So there is already a law that is existing, whether online, offline, in between offline and online, the law is already existing. Secondly, we inform members of the committee that the Senate passed a Cybercrime Act, I think of 2021, you can make the research, of 2021, That act talks about online abuses of speech, right? That act, proposed act or draft act, is still before the House of Representatives. You've not conducted expert hearings on that particular act to ensure that what Representative Flomo has presented is either disregarded or incorporated into the act. You want to repeal or amend the KAK Act. So if you amend the KAK Act, what you are doing, you're simply saying the act is irrelevant, right? Because what the act decriminalizes is why you seek to recriminalize. It is very, very problematic. It is tricky, a tricky slope. We consulted lawyers, we consulted freedom of speech activists, both nationally and globally, locally and internationally, and there is a consensus. So we made that appeal. Okay. We recognize the fact that Representative Jan Flomo, he comes from a journalism and media background, very solid, strong, especially the community radio sector. But anything that infringes on the rights of the press to operate, on the rights of people to express themselves, those things, the press union will obviously take a definitive position. And our position is clear. Please, respectfully, do not disturb the KAK Act. And we are happy that some members of the Joint Committee, they expressed the fact that Liberia has acceded to several international protocols, both continental and globally. For example, the African chapter on human and people's rights, right? The United Nations, different conventions or declarations on rights. So the issue of abuses online, the issue of abuses on air, those are issues that we need to handle as a society. And to handle those issues, we suggested to the members of the panel that the issue of civic education will have to be strengthened and enhanced within our society. So, and Mr. George Kennedy knows, in the press young politics, for example, people can read insults. People refer to me in one instance as a gay, for example. So under this new law, I can take somebody to court for referring to me on the basis of their opinion, right? On the basis of their opinion, I can take that person to court. That person will be jailed for 2 years. This is very harsh. It is disproportionate. It is unnecessary.
In the new law,
in this particular new law,
the Jan Flomo's law.
The Jan Flomo's law. So we respectfully appeal to them. Do not disturb, because the KAK Act has decriminalized anti-free speech offenses. Criminal malevolence is there with it. Sedition, the issue of that is the precedent.
Okay.
So we need to move on. If, for example, somebody as a person says that somebody has abused him, use section 17.3 of the penal law, take the person to court. And we have had problem with the issue of the contempt powers, for example, of the courts, because contempt is a clever means to finding you, in punishing you. Issue of a key, right? Issue of a key. So, in the integrity of the court, the Supreme Court was undermined as a result of what Prophet Key said, right? The first thing, the judges or the associate justices of the Supreme Court, they are being paid, they are well respected, people are appearing before the court to plead their cases. So let's not create laws that will stifle freedom of speech and expression. We don't agree to anyone insulting anyone in society. That we don't agree. But you cannot make laws, right, to target citizens of the country. Because
okay, let's go in there and let's do you have a question?
Yeah.
Coming, Moses, 1 minute.
Mr. President,
let you come in, yeah.
Mine is just very simple. How do you feel if someone is well respected in society, but every day you got a group of people insulting him and his wife in the public, his family? How do you feel? Do you consider that freedom of speech?
For the abuse, as the Constitution Article 15 said, right? In the penal law, wait. The penal law of 1978 says, if you abuse another person, use foul language, that person can be held responsible. And I emphasize because Councillor Gongolo made a point on the case of Prophet Key. Councillor Gongolo is one of, if not the preeminent civil society rights activists, press freedom activists in the country.
So I asked you that question, Mr. President, especially when you made mention of the Prophet Key's issue, when you said, how does his abuses or his ruining of insults against the justices undermine
the integrity,
the
dignity?
Where is the dignity and integrity of a statement? If that statement steps outside and all their private parts and everything have been insulted by a group of people, where is the integrity and statement shape of that particular person?
Does that stop you from doing your work?
It does. It has impact, greater impact in the sense that it has the propensity. Let's face the reality, Mr. President, and we are speaking as journalists, right? When you are to render judgment on issues, and based on that issues, probably anywhere you go, people insult you, people mock you, people say a lot of things. It has a propensity. It does.
Yes. I come to your
point. We agree, right? It does.
No, if it had consequences, the first thing that hearing with Prophet Key could not have been called, because the justices would have been disturbed. They have been disturbed that they cannot. The court of hearing and the Supreme Court is one of the respected institutions in the country. The rulings of the Supreme Court, even the Justice Minister, right, the President, they cannot challenge, especially when the ruling is final, right? There has been no instance in Liberia where there has been, in the post-conflict context or in the post-war context, where there has been an uprising against our Supreme Court. People can make accusations, right? It is my opinion, for example, and opinions, and this is what, for me, I don't support Prophet Key. I don't support insulting words, right? And this is where I would have wanted Prophet Key to stand his grounds. For example, how did my foul language undermine the integrity of the court? That they could be able to prove.
Is that the propensity of being a public ridicule?
Listen. How?
When it refuse to take the court integrity, the public ridicule, it undermines its function, undermines its credibility.
How?
So, Mr. President,
the court has Gentlemen,
the president.
Gentlemen, no. We're not going to do the first time.
Finally, where I stay on this.
Finally.
I know the press union is an advocacy institution. This advocacy dragging to this level about people insulting and abuse.
No, we don't advocate for people to insult.
Fine.
Let's be clear.
That's some of our police on the radio stations. They say that they insult all through. We don't support them here. We don't do that because it's just wrong.
And that is against.
It has the propensity, I think, to undermine the credibility of the media itself.
No, it's not the media itself. And this is where we do make a mistake. We do pass heuristic generalization on the entire media. If Kennedy sits on Prime FM, he does things that are contrary to the core ethics. It does not cover the entire media landscape. No, listen. Yes, I know, but you don't subject yourself,
Mr. President,
to this.
Okay.
Mr. President,
because you are telling me, if something happens at Prime FM, it means condemn ERBC, condemn Daily Observer. The more than 200 radio stations you want to condemn them, it's wrong. Which is not good.
Okay, let me read that.
Yes,
Edwin, quickly.
Mr. President, there are a few things I want to ask you. One, the framer of the Constitution knew exactly why they gave the Supreme Court or the court a contempt power. They know that very well. And even the interpreter of the Constitutions will keep saying that. It is basically to protect the integrity of the court. And the court is not a building, it is the individual that make the court, the justices.
No.
Bossman.
No. individuals. So this
Boss
is where,
man.
no, listen now, listen.
No. Can you
if
please let me
say-
learn, please?
If you say it is the individuals that make the institution, then I will tell you.
Boss
no.
man, please let me learn.
But it's not the billing.
The code is not the billing.
No.
The
The code
chief,
is the institution.
Chief, can you
The
listen?
rules.
Chief,
The rules.
Chief, don't teach me law. Please,
Gentlemen,
you spoke.
Also,
The code is not a billing. It is the if the justices of the Supreme Court decide to come and sit here and make a decision, that's the code. That's the code.
No.
Now,
And you know
Chief,
what? No, wait,
but-
wait. Just one
Julius,
point.
you spoke.
And
I
you
gave
know-
you time to speak.
And you know why they came to sit here? Because there are rules, and the rules are
Chief,
the
I gave you
institution.
time to speak,
Yeah,
and you're not
so you
giving me
just
time
say-
to speak. No,
let him
no.
speak.
So
let me
the
go ahead.
fact that
Yes, yeah, you
so the
just-
fact that you rain insult on the justices of the Supreme Court, you bringing the institution into public disrepute, and this is why the law gives them that authority. The Constitution gives them that authority that they can hold you in contempt. Now, the next thing, I'm one person who's against. In fact, I was against the whole issue of taking libel from our laws, because do you know what he has done? In fact, you've hold a certain position in the executive, you hold it captive. On our law, the president cannot sue, he cannot be sued, right? Now, people use that and sit on the microphone and rain insult at the president. Does that mean fair? Is that journalism? No. All right. So, again, we've gradually gravitated towards that. We're now going into the electronic media. People sit on Facebook and rain insults at public officials. Tomorrow, when these public officials start to use their position to take these people to court, the same press union and others will come back and say, oh, people using their position to manipulate the court to punish people. So we have to be very careful as to how we push this thing. We are all against trying to use heavy hand, but we need to be
Moses
careful.
is coming to you.
Yeah. Before.
So I just want to say this quickly, Mr. President. Look, I follow you, and like Edwin said, we all are aware of Article 17 of the Liberian Constitution, which doesn't protect vulgarity. If you go about referring to Moses Sandy as a gay, under that law, Moses Sandy can go to court and seek legal redress.
Civil, right?
Yes.
Civil, not criminal.
Say that again.
No, civil, not criminal.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. Moses Sandy can go to court and seek legal redress. I'm not talking about criminal.
Yeah, fine. And that's a mistake.
So, Mr. President, let me complete.
Yes,
So-
no, we have to get clarity.
But
right?
Chief, all criminal matters are committed against us.
No.
The individual going to court
For you
cannot
to-
go as
for you to even
cannot
say
go on
the
a criminal
studio,
matter.
For you to even say in studio, you said you support criminal libel.
Oh,
The
Mr. President, Jesus gave you.
No, but I spoke in context.
it's
I spoke in context.
You can do that.
We gave you time, Mr. President. Let's
I spoke in context.
All right, let Sandy come in. Sandy, your question or comment.
It's not a question. I just want to disagree with the president a little bit. For the president to argue that he has concern about the contempt power of the judiciary.
Yeah.
The law clearly says that if anyone does anything that impedes the work of the Supreme Court, that impedes the work of the legislature, that draws the integrity of this institution into question, you have to go to tell the court or to tell the legislature why you should not be held in contempt. So if somebody is sitting there and talking about the private part of the Chief Justice, his mother, and you're telling us that that's free speech, Mr. President?
Yeah, it is. And Moses, why we are making mistake of, for example,
Mr. President, it's not free speech.
we wanted of a key, right? Challenge, right? So the Chief Justice model, does she have a right to sue for key? For example, why should the Chief Justice sue on behalf of his mother, for example? Right?
No, he
Right?
So Prophet Key insult was not against Jammeh Kwekwe. It was against the Chief Justice of the country.
And
members of the Associate Justice.
You said the individual.
There's an institution.
You contradicting yourself.
But who faced the individual faced within the institution?
No, listen now, listen. And the mistake
the presidency is Joseph Boakai.
No, listen,
but it's an institution.
No, listen now. The mistake we make, the Supreme Court is an institution. And by institution, we are talking about rules, laws, the conventions that make up the Supreme Court. When we say if the Supreme Court justices meet here, they constitute the court, right? It means that something is written in the rules of the Supreme Court. It does not mean that Yamin Beze as an individual can just say, oh, I can sit anywhere. The rules are there. That's what they call institution. It's not the individual. We are not looking at the individual. I don't support insults. I don't, right? But we have to be clear about certain things. And Moses, the mistake we've made is that most of our laws that we are using, right? Those laws were made prior to the 1986 Constitution, fundamentally, right? So we are still, there's a tension, right? Between the 1986 constitutions and laws that were made between the 1940s up to the 1980s. For example, ERBC is operating on a PRC decree.
It's the state.
Yes, we have fundamental problem with it. So if the Director General of ERBC comes and say, I'm operating on a PRC decree, it has a right to do this. And the Constitution says there shall be no limitation on the rights of the citizens to information.
But it's nothing in this Constitution that gave contempt power to the two branches of the government.
No, that's
not the procedure law.
Listen.
You know what?
That's not the procedure law.
That contempt power of 1986. No, listen. No,
all other laws,
decree
that were passed before this Constitution, they are all subject
to this Constitution.
But then you agree with me.
That's why it's the Constitution. So it means
the Constitution is supreme.
While Kamara Idol, while Tiwa Martin Declaration, they are all subject to
the Constitution.
I agree.
The Constitution is supreme.
This is where when the legislature, for example, to threaten actions on contempt powers against the former Auditor General John Molu, what happened? He went to the Supreme Court to do an interpretation of the contempt powers of the legislature. And the Supreme Court found that the legislature acted outside of their bounds with the issue of contempt powers, in keeping with the 1986 Constitution. So we've not had the opportunity to challenge the contempt power of the courts, right? We've not had, because I agree with one point. I am a constitutionalist in terms of respect for the Constitution, right? I don't agree that integrity institution should be made to be seen to be undermined, where you have uprising by citizens. But do I agree with agnostic politics? Politics is not rational, Sobo. It's not rational. And things that I can say to undermine your integrity, the way how you will take it to be is not how another person will take it to be.
Okay, so finally,
it will be
let me ask this question quickly, Mr. President, so you can give us your interpretation as president of the Press Union, and then because we'll have to open the lines for a few minutes before we close. Yesterday was the opening of the
March term of court,
and at the opening, following the program, this statement attributed to the Chief Justice was just trending on social media. Let me read the statement and then we'll get your interpretation as president of the Press Union. How do you understand and how do you see it? In quotes, the court is open and it will act against any person who uses vulgar language. The court is also here to discipline society, as was done in the case of Prophet Key, unquote, Chief Justice. How do you interpret that?
Like I said to you before coming here, we've been working to ensure a clearer picture of what the Supreme Court is doing, because the decision of the Supreme Court against Prophet Key It's a precedent that will continue to go in society if we don't have some very frank conversations, right? In the United States, where our constitution is derived, so to speak, right? Ideas of democracies are derived, right? So, but when we're working at Star Radio in 2010, I traveled to the United States. I listened to a journalist telling a politician on air that your answers that you're giving are stupid answer. Stupid in our context, our culture in Liberia,
It's an insult.
it's an insult. So if I, as a journalist, right, tell the Chief Justice that giving your answers and giving what I know is a stupid answer you provided, the Chief Justice is telling me, we'll hold you in contempt. Per my brother's interpretation, because I brought the reputation, the integrity of the court into disrepute. Moses lives in America. The world
Mr. President,
That's two analogies,
listen
not two
now.
different
Listen now.
analogies. A
Moses-
politician
Moses
and the
come-
Chief Justice.
No,
that's two
Gentlemen, let
different
them
things.
answer.
No, the
Let
law,
them answer.
the law applies to citizens.
Oh, Chief.
President,
People to
Mr.
ABC,
President,
right?
President, let me just say
Yes,
something.
In that
1 minute,
particular
Moses,
context,
please.
in that particular context, you are held for expressing yourself, your thoughts. And stupid is telling somebody that yes, this thing that you say, it does not make sense, for example, right? How does that undermine your integrity as because I read some lawyers' arguments in the whole Supreme Court and Prophet Key situation. The issue of proportionality, for instance, the issue of the contempt powers of the court. This is something that will have to be debated significantly. We cannot sit and say the Chief Justice should define what is vulgar language, what is profanity, for example. It's not defined, right? Is there some level of consensus within the Liberian society about certain terms? I agree, 100%. So what the Chief Justice has said, it is a result of what the day to Prophet Key that prompted this particular proposed amendment to the KK Act. Because the perception amongst public servants is that people are abusing online platforms. And so, online, who are the people that are engaged in this sort of confrontational politics, right? During elections time, things that are said, right? You expect the court will be, the dockets of the court will be packed. But some of the things, because Moses could look at me and describe me in some sort of a way as it undermines my integrity or dignity. To even refer to me as a liar, for example, I could sue you because it's an insult. It's an insult to look at me and say, Lefine Kanga, and we're debating, we could exchange words. But you say, oh, Mr. President of the Union, you've insulted me. I'm going to court. So is this how we want to proceed in our society? No, we can't. We can't. And like I said, the 1986 Constitution, it is still in tension with.
Can we just have a few seconds?
So no, I think we need
All right, let me hold it there. And Moses can come in.
We need to listen. Yeah.
So, Mr. President, this is where I beg to differ with you. The word "stupid" is not a profanity.
You see?
It means
it's subjective now.
Let me continue.
Mr. President, this is not about subjectivity. Let's look at the literal meaning of the word "stupid." It means nonsensical. I can refer to what you say as being stupid. It doesn't mean that I am insulting you. I'm basically telling you that what you say, it is nonsensical. It doesn't make sense to me. No one can be held for that. I can refer to somebody as a liar if I have the evidence to prove that a person is a liar. That doesn't mean that I am insulting the person. But if I tell you, if I talk about your private part, if I make any comment, any obscene comment about you that causes mental anguish, that causes emotional disturbance, take for example, somebody referring to another person as gay, that's vulgarity. That is punishable under the law. That is not protected by the Constitution. So everything.
Moses, let me ask you, right?
Yeah.
In the United States, gay rights are respected. It's a contentious no, but gay rights are respected, right? In Liberia, there have been efforts, right, to promote gay rights. So if I know that this person is a gay, right, you telling me they should prosecute me?
Abroad, or same-sex marriages are not legalized. So if I feel emotionally disturbed and you call me a gay and I go to court and seek legal redress, of course you can be held liable. You have to demonstrate evidence that yes, Mohseni is gay. That is not.
Okay, Moses, that's what you did. That's what you did, Moses.
For the listening
Judge,
audience, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but I have interest in law. I hope to go to law school.
When you're ready, let me know.
Yeah, I'm ready. So you see, Article 74 of the Constitution gave the Supreme Court contempt powers. Mr. President can go and check it out. And then Article 44, I don't know where the Supreme Court ruling came from on Joao Malu issue. Article 44 of the Constitution gave contempt power to the legislature.
Yep.
So it is legal. Contempt is legal in the 1986 Constitution.
Yeah, listen now.
We said,
Kennedy,
Kennedy,
you have to proceed properly.
Like how?
When you impede, they say, don't just say contempt power. Article 44 that you read defines what is contempt power, right, of the legislature. When you impede,
that's for the legislature. That's the legislature.
You know why?
That's for the legislature. But for the court, you say you bring the court to public disrepute.
All right, let me say, Mr. President, these two branches have their own rules. The Constitution recognizes
to make their own rules.
Their rules allows them to make their own rules, unless the executive. So the contempt power is spelled out that you have the power. Your rules will spell out what the contempt power is.
But that contempt power, when your rules are spelling it out, it should not be what the Supreme Court refers to as ultra-virus.
What about ultra-virus?
No, who make it ultra-virus?
So why?
It is the court that interpret the law as to say what the law is. That's not you.
Why is it the Supreme Court overturning the contempt powers against Joao Malu of the legislature?
I don't know about that case.
It could have been. It could have been missteps.
Because one, it was found.
It could have been wrongful procedure issues.
It could have been. So you
it could have been. No. But you trying to preempt.
No.
But you're not exact.
No.
Also.
I'm telling you, the Supreme Court overturned. The Supreme Court overturned.
I have to take few calls.
It has the authority of the court.
0778.
Yes, so it means that contempt powers are defined in keeping with the
793.
They define. They say impede or obstruct.
Let me take few
impede
calls.
or obstruct.
Let me take few calls, please, Mr. President. 0778 460 793 or 0886 050507. Again, 0886 050507 or 0778 460 793. Better still, 0778 460 793 or this alternative line 0776 540 987. Again, 0776 540 987. 0778 460 793. Good evening.
Good evening, Summer.
Yes, sir.
For the show. I'm Amos Benjamin.
Okay, let's hear from you, Amos.
Okay. When we start to the topic of discussion, I think what the previous president is missing out. Normally, there's a saying, they say, who watches over the watchdog? It is true that the media is the watchdog of society, but who watches over the media? So, why it is true that you have the power in the mic to making sure that things go right, to check these people, you yourself should be guided by rule. You almost like a soldier man or policeman that they are assigned going to. Not because the guy is gone, so that when anything gets shake, then you fire. So if you are using the radio, using the thing, using for what it costs to educate people, instead of having facility that taking over the landscape, let me just say the media landscape. Even your own period election, see how gullible it can be. People just say all about things they got no business saying. And for the future of our children and for the country is not actually good. So that article 40 that concerning the contempt power of the House and whatever it is in the legislature is very, very cardinal. Everybody should play by the rules so that we don't offend anybody.
Okay. Many thanks. 0776 0778 460 793. Again, 0778 460 793 or 0886 050507. Again, 0886 050507 or 0776 540 987. We've been discussing a couple of issues. The resignation of the chair of the Ombudsman. We spoke with Councillor Philip Kanga. We've also been speaking with the PER president on the act to amend the KAK freedom of speech law that journalists have been enjoying. We've been talking about a couple of things. What is it that's on your mind that you want to talk about, that you want to maybe make comments about or ask a question about? 0778 460 793. Again, 0778 460 793. We also spoke about the issue at the border point. The government said it has already taken siege of the matter. It's using the established diplomatic channels to make sure that there's calm at the border. 0778 460 793 or 0886 050507. Again, 0886 050507. That's the numbers to call, and you are live on this alternative line, 0776 540 987. Again, 0776 540 987 or 0778 460 793. Let me take this caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Let's hear from you.
Yeah. I'll say thank you to the president that can ask you.
Mm-hmm.
It would be fun when someone insult your mother or your father, private part, and you say that freedom of speech. Thank you.
Okay.
So let me just answer that point where, and people are getting certain things wrong, right? We're not supporting insults. We said the term abuse of language or abusive language is already covered under the penal law of 1978. It's a civil matter. Go to court on it. What is wrong about that? What is wrong about that? Why can't you go to court, right? But you say you want to create another law that would criminalize an action, right? And that is anti-free speech. So this is the distinction I've made very simple. I'm not supporting anyone insulting. And like I told the committee, like I told the committee yesterday, some of us all grew up differently. And our cultures are different because we have 15 different counties, different ethnic groups in those counties, right? Some of us, our parents told us never to fight for them when they are insulted. I don't know whether it applies to some of you, right? Because if somebody insults me, the insult does not show who I am, but it shows who you are as a person, right? Like if I start to insult anyone, people say, not Julius, the president, right? It shows who I am. It will not affect, David Takpe, because Takpe, people already know who Takpe is.
You will be brought to public ridicule. Such insult has a propensity to make the person shame, embarrass them. You understand? They got some people. When people insult them publicly, they get shame, they get embarrassed.
So what you do now, you use the penal law of 1978 to go to court.
Yes,
so what is wrong with that?
That's why you and I agree.
What is wrong with that?
They shouldn't criminalize it. It should remain a civil matter.
So this is our emphasis. Yeah, I don't tolerate people insulting anyone for that matter. Right? Because I know insults have consequences. That I agree with anyone on that matter. But when you say you will jail somebody for 6 months on contempt of court, but we had instances in the counties, right? Some of our colleagues, and like we said, and we can admit publicly, They can ethically transgress. But does that mean that they are criminals? No, because the contempt power is defined as a criminal contempt.
No. That's civil contempt.
You get civil contempt, you get criminal contempt.
That is what we got to define.
Depend on the nature.
Depends on the nature of what you do.
So what the Supreme Court did, that which one the contempt?
They upgraded it to criminal contempt. You know why?
So I'm saying it.
You know why?
So someone, you see, we are saying the same thing. Where civil contempt, I know there are two types of contempts, predominantly, right? Civil contempt and criminal contempt. Which one are people most likely to be held upon? Is criminal contempt of court. Criminal contempt of court. In all of the cases involving journalists under our administration, right? Criminal contempt of court. And this is where abuses can happen, right? This is where abuses can happen.
Okay, so gentlemen, I think we've exhausted the time.
I think I have to. Have to leave because
we've exhausted the time. We have to go.
No, I wanted you to ask Kennedy or Dave Tagwell about this proposed amendment, about their own perspectives, because there are people from the media background.
Yeah, okay, Dave, you want to speak on that?
No.
Silence. Is it silence?
I don't think we should criminalize search. Yeah. I think it should be left with the existing law on the book, because the existing law will upgrade your whatever offense to criminal level based on the level that you take it. So I don't think we need another law again to go.
Maybe Moses could push
that's where I'm looking at, right? So
Moses, let's hear from you also.
No, absolutely, Mr. President. I agree with you on that. There's no need for another legislation because it's already covered under Article 17 of the Constitution. We already have laws in place, so there's no need. The necessity of what our colleague in the legislature trying to introduce. So I agree with the PEL 100%.
Okay, so gentlemen, let's get a parting comment quickly. Edwin?
Well, basically, I think having listened to all of the ups and downs, I think these conversations are good for our country. And like I said to the PUL president, when you read the Constitution itself, you have to go beyond the literal meaning. There's something called the intent of the framer. Why did they intend to give certain branches of the government contempt power? Basically, was to be able to set a safeguard that there's certain things that you can do. And contempt has a lot of meanings. I just showed it to Kennedy. It means disrespect or insult to a sitting judge. He can hold you in contempt for that. All right, it is in our laws, so in as much as we want to enjoy Article 15 of our Constitution that gave us the right to free speech, but there are consequences thereof, and the Constitution itself says it. And there are laws on the book, like he rightly said. If you go against those laws, you can be punished, you can be taken to court civilly, and the court will have to now take a decision to either punish you or not.
Okay, George, your parting comment?
I think the show was good. This type of debate is necessary. Thank God the president is here. I always say that the power of the president of the president of Liberia is very limited because of the fight that the president of Liberia has limited strength, limited voice, limited authority. And most of those authorities are definitely under the Ministry of Information. We have said repeatedly that the Ministry of Information should be repealed. The issue of licensing journalists or media institutions to involve the president of Liberia. In that way, the airwave, the print media will be fully controlled. The media should self-regulate in the sense that we self-regulate ourselves through the president of Liberia using our code of conduct and our code of ethics of journalism. So it's very, very necessary we do that. That's the only way the PUL really function. But PUL is just like an institution. Even you suspend someone right now, the person still go by the go to practice. So these are some of the things that for me are really like for us.
Moses, let's get a parting comment quickly.
Yeah, like everyone said, I think it was indeed a great show. And Mr. President, I want to say thank you so much for coming. Edwin, Mr. Tagweb, Mr. Kennedy, and you, Sabot. I want to say thanks to you and our crew back home. I think that was helpful. And lastly, let me say to Councillor Finlay, yes, it is true that he has resigned, but critics of him may say that hey, his resignation may have been coerced. In the wake of
Please, it's not your time, man.
Time, my man. You back? Yeah.
He said no comments.
Thank
My political comment I come in with.
Oh.
And most done, I guess. But
All right, go ahead.
so Councillor Finlay Kanga, you know, I got the feelings that he resigned under duress. He resigned under duress. He didn't resign at his own volition. He resigned under duress.
Okay, that's a parting comment.
That's my party.
Mr. President, President.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I would not necessarily agree with Macaulay Kennedy that the president of the press union has got limited power, because I want to exercise some of my powers here now.
The power I really want for you is more than what you got, my man.
No, I would have to exercise my power to hold him in contempt.
Please forgive me. Please forgive me. But really, I want you to
I know.
the power,
No.
you know.
No, for the institution as a whole.
Yeah.
Well, first, relating to the situation at the office of the ombudsman, we must always defend, uphold, and protect the sanctity and credibility and integrity of institutions in our country. Institutions are critical rather than the individuals within the society. And I say this, it also applies to the Supreme Court, it applies to the legislature, it applies to the media community as a whole. Institutions do matter, and by institutions, I keep emphasizing the rules, the norms, right? Those conventions, bind, society together. They are very, very critical. On the issue of the contempt powers of the courts, well, it's something that will have to be further scrutinized to ensure that this contempt power is not abused by any court within the Republic of Liberia. On the issue of the amendment or the proposed amendment to the KEK Act of Press Freedom, like we said, we respectfully disagree that this act should be amended to provide for penalty, right? Issues raised by Honorable Jan Flomo, and like we said, across the table, they are valid issues, but those issues are already covered on existing or pre-existing laws, right? Let's use it. People are misinterpreting the consequences of the KEK Act. And like I said, it covers 3 core areas: criminal libel against the president, the issue of sedition, and the issue of criminal malevolence. Let's not repeal and add anything that would deface that particular law. As a union, we speak against that. Now, to the issue of professionalism within the media, I agree with Kennedy, with Sion Brother Dave, that yes, we need to do more as a union. The power that Kennedy was talking about, right? The press union is a self-regulatory, associational movement, so to speak, public interest movement. We've been working to ensure how we can revisit some of these issues with the Ministry of Information and then with the legislature. The issue of licensing of journalists, that will not happen in Liberia, especially on a democratic context, because you can legislate free speech, who to practice as a journalist or not. But what we need to push is this sort of a strong regulatory agency in the press union of Liberia, right? And that is critical. Okay. Because, for instance, the management of Prime FM, if Prime FM has got employees, right, Prime FM should be a member of the PUL and subject the employees of the entity to the membership of the PUL. With that, you can have a stronger union.
Okay. Well, Mr. President, thank you very much. I want to thank all of you for your time today. Thanks to the producers. Join us, that is on Thursday. I'm sure tomorrow everyone will be going to do decoration of the relatives' graves. So will not be on tomorrow. Rather, will be on Thursday. We'll come back. The discussion concerning the arrests, the getting the living bodies of the Minister of Finance and his deputies. We'll discuss that. So we hope to discuss it on on Thursday. On Thursday, yeah. We'll be back. Until then, have a pleasant and restful night. Somebody George is my name.